Get the drift? We feature ice-cold drinks at our concession.
Hurry, 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 folks. Get your crunchy, chewy, chocolatey candy bars now at the concession stand.
You like our pizza pies, made from a famous Italian recipe. They're waiting for you at the concession stand. Yes, sir, the hot dogs at our concession stand do rate an appreciative whistle.
Ice cream bars. It's the handy way to enjoy smooth, rich, creamy ice cream. Get some.
All right. Hello. Thank you so much, T-Hive Movie Nighters, for tuning in today. We have come to talk about none other than Bruised, a Halle Berry directorial debut. And I tell you guys, she did a wonderful job. If you guys have my Instagram, you would know that I was on Instagram and I was about to just cry. My voice was shaking. I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe how Halle Berry played that part. I mean, I just felt like I was just in the zone, even just watching it. It was really a beautiful film. It was sad. It was beautiful. It was all of the above. It was relatable. There were very many people who had very strong opinions about it. But ultimately, Halle Berry did such a wonderful, wonderful job with this film. Let me first, before I start reading off things, let me just say that Netflix is undeserving of Halle Berry and her role on Bruised. They're very undeserving. Netflix does not deserve what Halle Berry gave in this role. She was giving it her entire all. Okay. She was giving it everything she had, literally. And it was very, very obvious that she purposely wanted to put her back into this particular film, maybe because it was her directorial debut. I don't know. But what I do know is that this, honey, let me tell you, this film was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. And I was very impressed, even though, you know, Halle Berry's an impressive woman and her acting skills have been impeccable. I think she really showed out for this one. She had even broken a rib in real life for this directorial debut. It's apparently, hi, Latoya. Hey, Extreme Diva. Um, apparently there was something about it in 2020 and then now back in 2021. So whatever the case, it was trending with True Story by Kevin Hart, which I'm going to be covering on this channel later on in the day, perhaps even down to tonight. I have to figure out a time, but I want to make sure that I rewatch that because that was a lot going on. And so was this movie, but I will be covering True Story. Bruised, however, was trending number 2. And I was just like, OMG, yes, Halle Berry. I mean, I was so emotional behind this movie. Okay, so first let me explain it from my point of view, then we'll go into article reads. So Halle Berry, she comes in, she's being made fun of in the first 2 minutes of the movie. She has little boys antagonizing her, okay? Little boys, like, didn't you used to be, the heavyweight champion of the world, like you drunk, like that, right? So, and she ends up going in her house. She definitely is drunk, and she ends up having sex within the first 5 minutes of her movie after being yelled at and almost domestically violenced, okay, by her trainer, who is also doubles as her man. So her trainer apparently doesn't do great at training and doesn't do good at managing, which is he's her trainer and her manager, or he's her manager, not her trainer, but he doesn't do good at managing. So he hasn't been able to find her the right gigs or the right trainers, this, that, and the other. He wants her to get back into boxing. She doesn't want to get into it. She says she's done fighting, but he wants her to fight because that's all that he has. All he has to make money off of is her. He's not only making money off of her, but he's having sex with her, and he's also abusing her at the same time. So he ends up taking her to this underground fight in some type of basement. And she's like, I don't do basement fights. Like, I'm not about to do this, blah, blah, blah. Well, it turns out that some big Russian chick who I tell you, when I see chicks that look like that, I immediately calm down. I'm so sorry, sis. You got to start calling them sis and ma'am. I'm so sorry, ma'am. Excuse me, sis. I was having a bad day. Ma'am, sis, lady. Okay. You definitely don't go into bitch. No, no, not with these types. Okay. I'm talking about this a big mama jamma that she was talking to, getting ready to fight. Okay. So, and I wanted to see if I could pull her up. Probably not. Some of these pictures I've taken off of Yahoo have been just crazy. But anyway, they were very undeserving. And when I tell y'all Halle Berry beat this woman down, now see, they say in the movie, all you have to do is make Halle Berry get mad. Once you make her get mad, it's on and pop, lock, and dropping. Okay. So Halle Berry got mad and she starts headbutting this woman until this woman basically ain't got no face. Okay. She has teeth marks in her forehead and her forehead bleeding. And she give herself a black eye from headbutting this woman. She just was looking crazy as hell throughout the whole movie. The whole movie, she either had a black eye, scratches and bruises on her face, bruises on her arm. I mean, it was just everywhere. It was just bad. It was just bad. But anyway, so she beats up this lady in this basement, and she's like, let me leave, let me go. So they go home, but they get in a car, and there's a particular person that ends up seeing her. This person is like a recruit scout, like a talent recruiter that sends her off to a trainer, right? So anyways, this man walks up to her and he's like, yeah, I think that you would be a shoo-in. You're a good fighter, blah, 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 blah. And so they're happy about that. So she gets in with the trainer. On their way home, though, however, they see her mom, and her mom is, I guess, like, hey, they haven't been really acquainted. Now, what's really sad is in this movie, Halle Berry is a person who her mom had men in and out of their house when they were younger, and she ended up getting raped by several men while her mom was in another room. And her mom is pretending in this movie that she doesn't know that her daughter was getting raped. She's also not taking accountability for the fact that Halle Berry feels that she should be more accountable for the trauma that she's been through, right? So while Halle Berry is doing this movie, this woman, her child's father ends up passing away, and this woman, his girlfriend that was with him during the duration of the 6 years of him taking care of her son, who she had not seen in 6 years, just comes and drops her son off to her mom. And her mom is like, the lady said that he doesn't talk, he won't say a word, And so now Halle Berry is not only training for this new career and in this, to jumpstart her career back into being the UFC fighter that she used to be, but now she's also taking care of a 6-year-old child. Now, what disturbed me about this 6-year-old child's role, first of all, shout out to that little boy. Okay, we're going to go over the cast and stuff in a minute. I just want to get out my depiction of the movie before I get into article read. But let me tell y'all, shout out to that little boy. Oh my gosh, he did such a wonderful job. He was, from the sad faces and the looks that he gave was everything. They seemed so genuine and so authentic. It was almost hard to be like, damn, is he just acting? Like, it seemed like the boy was really sad in real life. It was a great depiction of what needed to be given. And he was definitely given. He was giving it his all. Okay. So Halle Berry, she ended up, hold on, let me get into I'm trying to find the entire cast if I can. So Halle Berry, she ends up taking her, the little boy to work with her for a couple of days. The trainer gets close to the little boy, and things are going well for Halle Berry, even though her boyfriend, who is also her manager at the time, is still being abusive. Well, one day he decides to start mistreating this little boy. She would come home and she would find him in a bathtub with a towel over his head. She would come home and he would be yelling at the little boy. And she would be like, "Why are you talking to him like that?" And she promised him that Big is going to take care of Little. So she's big and he's little, and she's going to take care of him. I'm telling you guys, it was such an emotional thing, because there's so many parents out here that can relate to not having their children and then having their children thrown back on them or thrown on them, and how overwhelming that can be. So, because everybody, people go through different things, and so I really sympathize with her role, just as, a mom myself. And so I felt that part of the movie. I also felt the fighting part of the movie, and also the fact that she was going through domestic violence while all of this going on. And she's also a victim of childhood trauma herself and being raped in her own childhood. Okay. So the boyfriend is yelling at the kid. So one day the kid decides that he didn't want to eat when the boyfriend was feeding him. She came home, the boy wouldn't eat. So the boy goes and he starts making himself some dinner, but he ends up letting the water boil for too long. So he drops the water on the floor, and the man is about to strike this child. Now, first of all, honey, we're not going to talk about this case, okay, on this channel, about that mother that let that Caucasian man kill her black son and made her other kids stay around his dead body, okay, while he deteriorated. We're going to talk about that on Detox OT Law and Crime. But I'm just saying that was giving me them vibes in this movie. And I was like, no, ma'am, no, Pam, no, ma'am, no, thank you, Sam. Okay. So when he was going to strike the boy, Halle Berry ended up stepping in and being like, no. Well, the man ended up grabbing this boy's piano, which was the last thing that he did with his dad before his dad died. They were singing a song about, you all I got is just me and you. I forgot the particular song, but it's one of those very popular songs that just happened to be slipping my brain. But it was basically the dad just saying that's me and you. Mind you, the dad had never even spoken about Halle Berry. And there was some talk that he said that she was dead or something of the nature. So I didn't see what the boy answered when she asked him that, but she did ask him, "Did your dad tell you I was dead?" Okay, so as the movie goes on, as he's about to strike the child, he picks up the boy's piano and he smashes this young man's piano for no reason. This man is just an out of control ass, can't hold his emotions together ass man who is beating home women, abusing children, and talking crazy to anybody that gets in his way, whatever he might be, drunk or whatever the other case is. So Halle Berry is screaming at him, "Please don't do it. Don't break it. Don't do it. Let him have his piano." And unfortunately, and it's so sad, he did end up breaking the piano. So in the process, he slapped Halle Berry and like really hurt her. against her will, of course. And the young man had already been talking to Halle Berry's trainer and was told to put both of his hands up anytime he feels nervous or like something is wrong. Put both of his hands up. And so he threw both of his hands up. And of course, Halle Berry, having the same trainer that told the little boy that, she knew exactly what that means. So she goes on to move in with her mother, whom obviously had let her get raped in her childhood. Give me 1 second. Who obviously had allowed her to be raped in her childhood. And her mother is, trying to be controlling and condescending because she has to move in with her. But Halle Berry has already taken a title fight in which she would get $10,000 just to show up and $20,000 if she lasted past 3 rounds, which the fight in full in total was 5 rounds. So she knew that she was coming into some money. And so she told her mom, I'm gonna watch how fast I'll be out of here. In the process of her training, though, and trying to raise her child, she was trying to figure out, how do I put this boy in school? She didn't even know the process to do that because she had never raised a child before. She didn't know how to put him in school. Her trainer ended up telling her how to. She ended up getting the baby in school. She would kind of be running late to pick him up. She would not have enough money to buy him, after school snacks and food, which is very important for school-aged children. It's just a natural fact that when kids get out of school, they're hungry. That's just period. So she would not have enough money to cover his snacks and his food for his after school activities. At one point, she had to give up her tampons in order to allow him to get, 1 or 2 more things from the store, which was craziness in itself. So then she ends up having this incident where she goes to her training, and after the training, she takes her young son to a restaurant because they're at this point living with the mom. She takes him to a restaurant, and she's having a full panic attack inside of the restaurant. So while she's having a panic attack, she goes to the bathroom, tries to calm herself down. Her son's knocking on the door, and she doesn't know it's him. She's like, fuck off. First she's like, I'm in here. Then as he keeps knocking, she's like, fuck off. And so that hurts his feelings. So he ends up running away from the restaurant. She doesn't know where this young boy is at, which to me is, it's part of teaching. You don't move. When I tell you don't move, I don't care what goes on, but that's part of the character and the parenting that she missed. And one thing that you don't want to do is be the mom yelling fuck off in the bathroom while you just got your son back. It don't matter if it was him at the door or not, just saying. So anyway, so the boy ends up running away, going back to the grandma house. So the grandma takes custody of the son, and the grandmother threatens to call CPS on Halle Berry because Halle Berry was being unfit. She was in a domestic violence relationship. She was an emotional wreck. She didn't know how to get him through school and was finding guidance through her job as far as her son. She had her trainer babysitting her child. It just was inappropriate. Like, she had her son at this fight and stuff. It just was inappropriate the way she was going about parenting the child in the film. I will say that was So I did agree that the child needed to stay with the grandmother, at least for that moment. But so the mom takes custody of her child. So now she's an emotional wreck, and she ends up going to seek solace in her training facility. Now, while she is in her training facility and she is seeking solace, she ends up having sex with her female trainer. Now, this is the first time I had ever seen Halle Berry have sex with a woman on camera, to the point where Halle was the one eating the coup, y'all. Okay. Halle was the one that went down, not the other one. I expected to be the more butch one, but it wasn't. It was Halle Berry, the one that was down there gobbling the chicken. Okay. She was bear clawing the salmon. I said, oh, Halle. Okay. I was like, oh my goodness. Halle Berry buried her whole face in it while she held on to the 2 buttercups at the top. Now, okay, I said, oh, and well, how long you been doing this? Okay, it seemed like her and Jada Pinkett might have been going at it for some reason. I don't know why I thought of Jada when I saw that sex scene, but I just did. Okay, for some reason I thought of Jada. I said she had sex with Jada before. I don't know why. Don't ask me. I just said that's what went through my brain. Okay, so anyway, so after Halle Berry finished munching the carpet, she ended up uh jacking herself off with this woman's assistance, and she fell asleep in this woman's bed, only to wake up by herself and with no one in tow. Okay. So Halle Berry is by herself. She's trying to, she's trying to figure out what the hell happened to her trainer. Whatever the case, her trainer ends up falling in love with her. She brings her this beautiful jacket where her father had called her the name. I forgot what it was called. I think it was called Strong Wolf or some shit. I can't remember. But it was something of the nature. Okay. And so she ends up giving her the jacket with that writing on it, which was the last thing that her father said to her when she was 5 years old. And she sleeps with this woman again, but this time she's getting ready to go into her fight. And as this woman is in her bed, Halle Berry tells her, I cannot be with you anymore. In a nutshell, she didn't say it like that, and I would never tell you guys word for word the movie, because of course I want to encourage you to go watch it. But child, and you know what? And I'm gonna actually add it to my T High movie night tab on my website. However, I have a couple of things that I need to do to my website, Detox OT Law and Crime, before I can get the memberships back up and going, because the memberships are currently down. So I just want to let you guys know that. And that's that. But anyway, it will be added to the movie tab just in case you don't got Netflix or whatever. Okay. Number 2 trending. It was number 2 trending with Behind True Story. So it was good. Anyway, so she tells the woman, I can't be with you. The woman was heartbroken, crying. Good, Latoya. Heartbroken, crying, really going through it. And I felt so bad for Halle Berry. I was just like, oh my goodness, she is going through it, and she didn't put that pain off on another woman that's just trying to love her. Mind you, the trainer had already told her that she had a wife and kids and things went wrong. So now it was time for Halle Berry to fight. Okay, so now Halle Berry is getting into a fight, and she's doing her promo. Hold on, let me get to the picture, because there was a good picture. I got to get to, here we go. Okay, so Halle Berry is doing her promo, which I 100% loved this promo. I thought they both was looking bad as hell. I was like, oh my God, look at that little ginger little thing over there. Look at her. I was like, oh my Lord Jesus. She said she's fine in the mother. 2 fine chicks just on the set fighting right on. I know these men really got they rocks off on this set, okay? But I was like, oh my God, they both look absolutely beautiful. It seemed like a real fight. I could tell it was a little staged, because I'm actually an avid UFC fighter watcher. So I could tell it was a little staged, but it was really, really good. And it was almost perfect, literally. So anyway, they started doing their thing, and they started to make their way to the ring. Okay. As they were making their way to the ring, where's that picture that I wanted to find? There's pictures that I have that I wanted to pull up, but I cannot find them. So anyway, we'll do this one. So as they were making their way to the ring, this young lady, the gingerhead, she seemed really aggressive. I think she played her role perfectly. She was the champion. She held the title. And she played her role perfectly. Like, yeah, like, what's up? Challenge me. Like, I wish Emma Effa would challenge me, is how she played her role. And I thought that went perfect for her role. Now, Halle Berry ends up fighting this lady and bruised. When I tell y'all, she opened Holly's face all the way up, child. I said, oop. Okay. But she opened your girl up. Okay. And I was like, oh, damn. Well, damn. Okay. But Halle Berry stood her ground, and not only did she last the 3 rounds, she lasted all 5 rounds. Her son tried to watch it. Her mother did watch it. Her mama stopped her son from watching it. Her mother did watch it, and her mother ended up watching her get beat down, but she was sitting there secretly rooting for Halle Berry, who ended up losing this match, the 5 rounds. But she put up a hell of a fight. I loved all the arm bars. I loved all the kicking, the uppercutting. I just loved it all. And I think that Halle Berry really poured her soul into this film, honey, okay? So she ends up losing, but it was enough to make me cry because she lasted the 5 rounds and the whole audience was chanting her name, justice, justice, justice. So after she leaves from the MMA fight, she ends up going to her mother's house, and her mother is proud of her. So her and her mom had a moment of making up, and she got all this money in her pocket now, and so she's able to get her stuff together because she's $20,000 richer. And her mother just blatantly, tells her son to put on his shoes because he's finna go for a walk with his mom. And she goes for a walk. Y'all, I'm getting emotional. Hold on. Because this was the part. So she goes for a walk with her son, and her son doesn't necessarily want to hold her hand. But he holds her jacket. I believe this is that part. And then as she, I might have the wrong part right there, but as she bends down to tie his shoe, he smiles at her and he talks to her for the first time. And she gives him this crying smile. I'm emotional about this. Hold on. She gives him this crying smile that just made my heart melt. When I tell y'all, it made my heart melt. I was like, oh my God. So after her fight, she could obviously see that her son was proud of her and her mother was proud of her. And it was beautiful. It was beautiful. I was really, really proud of Halle Berry during this movie, and just the way she performed and poured her heart and soul into this film. It was everything. I love it. I loved it and love it. And it was literally everything. Like, how could you ask for more? You couldn't. There's no way. You could just never ask for more. So, okay. So let's get into real quick article reads. Halle Berry on her directorial debut, Bruised, okay, and why the Wachowskis' Cloud Atlas holds a special place in her heart. So with Bruised now playing in select theaters and starting to stream on Netflix, tomorrow is when, so this was the day before it premiered. I recently got to speak with Halle Berry about directing her feature debut. During the interview, she talks about why this project means so much to her, and having everyone do their own stunts allows her to place the camera anywhere, how she shot a full UFC fight for the film, why it was such a challenge to get the film under 2 hours and 30 minutes, what people would be surprised to learn about the making of Bruised, and more. In addition, she shared how working on John Wick Chapter 3 helped her get her in the cycle of training and hard work in the gym, and why working with the Wachowskis on Cloud Atlas holds a special place in her heart. If you're not familiar with Bruised, the film star Halle Berry as a disgraced MMA fighter trying for one last shot at redemption when the son she had given up as an infant unexpectedly re-enters her life. Bruised also stars Aden Kanto, Shamir Anderson, Danny Boyd Jr., Adrian Lennox, Sheila Adam, Valentina Shevchenko, and Stephen McKinley Henderson. I might have butchered a couple of those names, okay? My bad. Jackie Justice, Halle Berry, is a mixed martial arts fighter who leaves the sport in disgrace. Down on her luck and shimmering with rage and regret years after her fight, she's coaxed into a brutal underground fight by her manager and boyfriend, Desi, and grabs the attention of a fight league promoter who promises Jackie a life back in the octagon. But the road to redemption becomes unexpectedly personal when Manny, the son she gave up as an infant, shows up at her doorstep. Now, we already discussed that. Hold on. Let me come back up here. Okay. So this actually, they want us to listen to it. So hold on. Let me see if... Oh, okay. No, wait, that's a synopsis. 1 second. Let me try to find... Okay. Is this the trailer or is this the... Yeah.
Because I have a few extra minutes with you, I like asking a curveball at the beginning. I love the movie. It's not hard hitting, I promise. I love the movie Cloud Atlas. Just love. And I wanted to know if you could share what it was like working with the Wachowskis on that, and if that film holds a special place in your heart.
It definitely holds a special place. I mean, I knew when I got asked to do that movie, I would never in my career get to play in a movie and play 5 characters. Just would never happen. So I knew that that was a film worth fighting for. I love the Wachowskis. I love the largeness of their imagination. I love the world that they created, the subject matter of the piece. You know, I think not everybody got it. You know, not everybody, it wasn't everybody's cup of tea, but it was certainly mine, and everybody that worked on it. So I think we were all thrilled to be a part of something that we knew would probably never happen again.
Absolutely. The film's a masterpiece, so F all the people that don't like it, whatever.
What I say.
Oh, it's fantastic. So I'm curious, you obviously made John Wick 3 prior to doing Bruised. How did actually training for that role maybe help you in terms of preparing, playing this role?
Well, I knew when I was training for John Wick, I knew that Bruce was coming. So I knew that it would be a 3-year period of just training. So I had to, what I had to learn for John Wick really had nothing to do with what I had to do for Bruised, but what it did do was it got me into the cycle of training and working hard and spending 3, 4, sometimes 5 hours a day in the gym. I learned about the importance of recovery and having the proper diet, and I understood what the next 3 years of my life would be like. And so training for John Wick got me totally prepared for that.
On what day of the shoot, I mean, this is such an ambitious project for your directorial debut. On what day of the shoot were you like, maybe I should have just done a romantic comedy?
Never. I never had that thought. And I couldn't afford to have that thought. I had to keep believing that I was meant to do this. This was my passion, and nobody was going to deny me, and I was going to keep putting one foot in front of the other, and that I was going to see this through. I had to keep telling myself that.
Obviously, I'm just joking around with that, but you know what I mean. But I am curious, as a director, the editing process is ultimately where this all comes together, and where you're crafting these fight scenes, and it's it's the movie. So maybe what surprised you when you got in the editing room, that maybe you weren't expecting?
Well, I can't say there were any things I didn't expect, because after working with Chad, what I learned was that the more, and this is how he operates in John Wick, like Keanu does all of his own stunts. All the performers that come into the world of Wick, they perform their own stunts. And what that does for the director is it frees you up to put the camera any place you want to put the camera, because you have nothing to hide. You're not hiding a stunt woman. You're not hiding something that you don't want the audience to see. So luckily for me, because I came from the school of Chad, I performed all of my own stunts, and I had the flyweight champion of the world I'm fighting with. I didn't have anything to hide in the edit. I could put it together the way I wanted to put it together, because we did it ourselves.
Did you end up having I like talking about editing. Did you end up having a much longer cut, or you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, my first cut was almost 4 hours. Like every director, because every moment was so important to me. The fight was like a real fight. Like we shot
yes, it was.
Round. Valentina and I really shot 5 rounds. 5 minutes per round. So I had a real UFC length fight on my hands. And so the first edit, I put it all in there because we worked so hard. And so little by little, we started to have to chop things down, and we had to shape a story that was palpable. But as a first-time director, and I think every director, you put your whole thing together the way you saw it in your head, and then you realize that's a bit indulgent, and nobody's going to sit and watch that, and you need to start, crafting a different story from what you may have originally intended.
What was the length where you're like, you have a director's cut and you're like, I don't know how I'm going to get this any shorter? Was it like 2.5 hours? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was probably at the 2.5 hour mark. I really thought I was done. And for me, I'd cut so much out of it that I thought, I can't lose another thing. It's going to change my whole story. It's going to change. I'm fighting for the integrity of these characters, and this fight has to be this fight. And it was little by little, Netflix kept saying to me, keep trying, keep trying, so I would go back and I would chip away and chip away. And sometimes my editor I would say, Terry, I can't chip away anymore. You just have to go and show me something, because I love all of this too much. I love all of these characters. So she would come and she would have a pass at it. And then I would have a nervous breakdown, and then I would come back around and say, okay, what parts of what you just did were good and what parts do we have to put back in, because I just can't live without. And so it was a constant dance to get down to what Netflix wanted me to get to, was about a 2-hour film.
Totally. I love learning about the behind the scenes of the making of movies. What do you think soon to be fans of this film would be surprised to learn about the making of it?
That I'm going to put a behind bruised making of the movie out for them to see. And they're going to see everything about it. And I think they'll be shocked to learn how hard it was for me to not only get the money, but to keep the money, how hard we all worked, all the obstacles that I faced on a daily basis. But they'll also see the fun, and they'll see the love and the camaraderie, but they're going to see it. They're going to see it all.
Is it going to be on Netflix, the behind the scenes?
I'm still negotiating where it's going to be. So it'll be eventually live on Netflix as, I think, a sister project to this movie, like a sister piece. But where it's going to air first, I'm still in negotiations with where it's going to actually air first.
That's all the time I have. Thank you so much. Congratulations. I hope you're making another movie again soon. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, that was beautiful. I think he did a great job within the 7 minutes that he paid for to interview her. And if you guys want to hear more from that particular interviewer, you can find him at thecollider.com. Okay, let's go on to the next article read. And I love Halle Berry. She's so sweet and so gentle, especially with the new generation of girls that's coming in. Instead of her being old and bitter and judgmental, she's really, really nice and just sweet to them. Okay. So there's an article that says, bruised is Halle Berry's answer to years of objectification. All I can do is fight to do movies like this, she says. And during that interview with Halle Berry, I just had a chance to make me a little hot cocoa. So I might take a sip every now and then. It's very early in the morning. I've been working since about 5 this morning, so please excuse me. Okay, so we all know that Halle Berry has gone through it in Hollywood. They've showed her, we've seen her entire body. We've seen her have sex with black men, white men. We've seen her be crazy. We've seen her be uppity. We've seen her be a cat. We've seen so much stuff from her. So this was her way of fighting back. And I thought that was so good for her. So her ribs ached, but she couldn't take them. Her costume was a sports bra and biker shorts. But Halle Berry had no doubt that they were broken. On day 2 of shooting the brutal SmackDown finale of her directorial debut, Bruised, Berry didn't tell anyone. Instead, she spent 3 more punishing days shooting Bruised in limited theaters and now streaming on Netflix without a stunt double, trading savage punches and kicks while playing a washed-up fictional MMA fighter, Jackie Justice, opposite of the current UFC women's flyweight champion, Valentina Shevchenko. I know if I told producers this happened, they would shut it down and I would probably lose my funding. I just willed myself to do it, she said. I took a bunch of Advil and I acted as if it isn't happening, she said. 6-time UFC champion Shevchenko, who played Lady Killer in the film, remembers it similarly. Every single take you do, you have to do with your full power, full speed, the fighter recalls, noting that the bruises that the audience sees on their bodies were real. You could tell that something happened to Halle Berry. Halle Berry, who's 55 years old, who had trained relentlessly in judo, taekwondo, and Muay Thai for more than 2 years up to this role, also knew what delays would cost, making 2019's John Wick production shut down for 8 weeks when she broke her ribs. And so the two continued to trade hits no matter what bruises and bangs that they got in real life on this set. Jackie Justice at this stage in her career is Berry's Everest. The character was famously conceived as a 21-year-old white Irish Catholic fighter with Blake Lively attached to star it. After Lively moved on from the film, Barry and screenwriter Michelle Rosenfarb re-envisioned the character as a has-been middle-aged fighter and absentee mother on a quest to redemption. When she couldn't find the right director, Barry put herself up for the job. I feel like I was at the point in my career where I had to bet on myself. I had to make this happen. On screen, for much of Bruised, Halle Berry's famous bone structure is disfigured under bulging black eyes, blood, or even both. She says she loved it, especially being me. People always comment on how I look. It was liberating to wake up every day and be more fucked up than I was the day before. The better it was going for me to be for the day's work. So basically, she's saying the more bruised up, the better her movie would be. At home with her 13-year-old daughter, Nala, her mantra is beauty is as beauty does. I hammer that into her head because I know that to be true. Let's see. Filters on social media particularly worry her. Sometimes I'm her least favorite person in the world because she's like, oh, mom, just let me be a teenager of my generation. And I want to do that too. But I'm worried about her self-image and that filter life. It's not a real life. Bruce enters the Oscar race alongside awards seasons alongside Bruce enters the Oscar race alongside award season favorites like Maggie Gyllenhaal's The Lost Daughter, which also mines the experience of a mother who had abandoned her children. Early in Bruce, Jackie's 6-year-old Manny turns up, a haunted look etched on his face. His father is dead. Jackie freezes. A traumatized kid doesn't fit into her narrative of a comeback. None of it is pretty. That's the point, she says. If this movie doesn't finally change the conversation about Halle Berry, it's unclear what will. I'm not just pretty. Few can look past the one-time beauty queen's looks, but not even a morning show that recently opened an interview with Berry by showing an extended clip of her bikini-clad Bond girl rising from the surf. Berry levels a gaze across the table of the Edition Hotel, her face makeup free on a full, warm fall afternoon. She says that she has a numbness to it. It's one of the reasons I fought so hard to make this movie, she says, because being objectified that way is something that I come to realize I can't do anything about. All I could do is fight with movies where I'm not like that. Berry directs her own love scenes in this tattered role, creating an evocative sexual sex scene between Jackie and her female trainer, Budokan, and it feels specific to a female gaze. I've been in love scenes where I have had zero control. So it was really good. It was a really good feeling knowing that I would be in control of this. And that was really important for me to make sure that the actors knew that they could trust me. There's nothing worse than to agree on something and then you see the film and you go, oh my God, that's not what they told me it would be like. And you could there, and she even had it to where she would film and then she would go back and show them what they filmed. So it wasn't like something that she would be hiding from them for last minute edits or anything like that. How many times does this happen to Halle Berry? A few, she says. Off screen, the star took her quiet romance with Grammy winning musician Van Hunt public in August 2020 after meeting earlier in the year, set up through a friend. She said, when we found each other, I was really done with relationships. It started at the beginning of the pandemic when Berry was in LA and Hunt was in Georgia. For 2.5 to 3 months, all we did was talk on the phone, just hours of talking or writing letters. There was no FaceTime. We didn't FaceTime and we never did a Zoom. 3 months later, they finally met in person. In April, they attended the Oscars together. Last weekend, he was on a red carpet with her at her Bruised premiere in Los Angeles. All right, girl. Well, congratulations to you on that new man and all, because we all know that Halle Berry has been objectified in plenty of movies, and we all know that she has been played by plenty of men in real life. And you know, she's had a hard time because everybody's just like, oh, she looks like this and looks like that. Okay, so a lot of the articles, I think those first two articles did really good in explaining what was going on. I want to give you guys some ratings from, okay, so she says her kids are the reason why she directed the movie. She said, when I read this script, it just grabbed me. I intrinsically understood all the characters. I understood their brokenness. I understood what it is to fight for second chances and last chances. I understood what it is to be a mother and to try to be a working mom and how hard that can be. There's just so many elements to this movie that I could connect to, and I couldn't let go once I read the screenplay. I just couldn't let this go. And I had a great love for MMA at the time when the script came my way. I grew up being a huge fan of boxing. I always loved a good fight film. I love the quality of film finding redemption and forgiveness and rising above all. I always loved, I always feel good when I see movies like this. I've always loved them. And having my children now is the reason I'm even directing, because I have to keep going. I have to keep discovering more facets of who I am. I have to keep trying to make them proud. I have to keep modeling for them someone who's alive and very involved with her career and as a woman and as a Black woman. I need to model for them what that looks like. So they changed my game since the minute they got here. Oh my God, it's a dream come true. And I don't think it's ever happened before where the reigning champion took time to be in the movie. Usually, these are things they do when they're going to retire and they transition into something else. So for her to give me the time, this time at the height of her career, she's talking about Valentina. So for her to give me this time at the height of her career and come make a movie with me and train and teach me how to have fun with it, it was a real honor to get her. The queen herself, like there's nobody better. Okay, hold on. Halle Berry also got to work with her boyfriend Van Hunt on the film's soundtrack, which includes a bunch of artists like Halle Berry. The queen herself, like there's nobody better than Cardi. When I reached out, I sent Cardi the film when we finished it.
Expecting someone else?
Uh-oh, what is that?
Oh, no. It's the holidays, and we are all
Sorry, guys. Okay. I sent her the film when we finished it. Who wouldn't want Cardi B to join forces with you? So I sent the film to Cardi, and to my surprise, again, like Valentina, she was like, yes, I'm down. Yes, let's do this. And I said, let's make a little bit of history. There's never been an all-female hip-hop album before. And I was like, why has no one done this? So one thing that I do want to point out about Halle Berry and her music for this film is that she did have an all-female soundtrack, but on top of that, you guys, she did not use Nicki Minaj. There was lots of other female artists, Megan Thee Stallion, Cardi B. Nicki Minaj was not a part of this. It kind of surprised me a little bit. I won't hold you guys on that. So Bruised actually got a 52% on the tomato meter, the tomato meter. Okay, so a lot of people were upset because it was so long. The film feels real, but next time just make it half the length, says somebody named Danny Lee. When it's firing on all cylinders, Bruce finds the Skirk Amity Stallone, I don't even know what that means, wringing truly grand melodrama out of women reshaping their lives and beating each other senseless. That's what Jason Shawan says. The only reason you like this hot mess of a person is that it's Barry who plays her. Next time, put it to better use in a movie with some originality, says Johnny Oleksinski. It's not badly made necessarily. It's just uninspiring, says Wendy. Barry's exhausting directorial debut pummels us with cliches and subpilots, says Richard Roper. Not even Halle Berry's presence can enliven this stale sports film family drama mashup. By the end of it, the barrage of cliches leaves you black and blue, Ian Freer said. A decent debut from Halle Berry behind the camera, but it doesn't really add anything new to the drama sports genre. All the ring stuff was great. The rest, not so memorable, says Fico Cangiano. In Bruise, the filmmakers know exactly what points to hit, but they don't have a good feel as to how to make them impactful. Berry is a great actress, but this film does her no favors on or off the screen, says Alex Bentley. This raw underdog story is not the comeback vehicle Halle Berry fans might have hoped for and leaves viewers feeling pummeled, says Lynn Vinhaus. A knockout, it ain't, says Charles Koplinski. Don't be surprised if your own body aches by the time Halle Berry's directorial debuts bobs and weaves through the never-ending barrage of predictable redemption fight movie moments, says John Ermbich. And finally, Kathia Wood said, she reminded us why she's a star. And the only one of those that I agree with is Kathia Woods. I think that she put her all into it. I'm very surprised that her movie only has 52% on the tomato manometer. And I feel like that was jacked up. You know, she had broken ribs and a crazy injury during this MMA fight movie, and she put her all into that. I'm really surprised at the way that they just came at her, really. But I thought it was a great film. I think she did a great job. It was a sports drama, a family drama, a fight movie. It was so many things mixed together all in one. And again, I don't know exactly why people were so critical of Halle Berry. I think she did a great job getting some of the best people in the roles that she did. For her to be able to get the current flyweight champion was huge for her first directorial debut. And like I said, the only one I agree with is Kathia, which is that she showed us why she's a star. Good job, Halle Berry. And thank you guys so much for joining me for this review. I will be back on the channel a little bit later on tonight to review True Story from Kevin Hart and Wesley Snipes, which turned out to be a true twister turner. I mean, it really twisted and turned me. I like simple movies like this one. It's not so simple, but also very simplistic storylines to follow. I feel like Kevin Hart's was very much all over the place, and we're going to get to that a little bit later on. So make sure you guys are watching for the reminder and time that I'm going to be posting that. In the meantime, again, thank you so much for joining me here at T Hive Movie Nighters, and I will see you on the next one. Again, make sure you guys check for my uploads because I did upload 5 today, and I will be live on my home channel with a little bit of celebrity tea in just a couple of minutes. Thank you so much. See you next time.